pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening and welcome to our meeting. Just for point of rear entry, behind you is your exit, and off here to the right for reference. Our first order of business is really incredible event for us. The appointment of Police Sergeant Melissa Burke. If I could actually ask you to come on up and present yourself in front of the public. I'd like to just shake your hand, have the board maybe shake your hand. So, Sergeant Burke has been on the job for, and she was one of my first appointments, I believe. Yeah. So we're very proud of her and really happy to see her on the job. And she's our canine king, which is a big thing, king. So here's our board here, and I'd like all our boards to come up and maybe take a picture with our sergeant.
Congratulations again. Together.
Great, thank you guys.
Okay, okay. No, oh, okay. Okay, very good.
Brandon, I did want to say real quick.
Yeah.
Just wanted, for the record, to say, thank you for supporting this promotion. We have all the confidence she's going to excel in this new position as she has throughout her career. So I want to thank you and the entire board for supporting this promotion, and it's definitely justified, needed, and warranted. She's done great work, and
Absolutely.
Continue doing that for the village of Monroe.
Here, here. It's the finest department in Orange County. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming by.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, first order of business is the public hearing introducing local law of 2024, amendment to chapter 155A, property maintenance law, public hearing. I need a motion to open the public hearing.
Carl will make the motion.
Berenger will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, right.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Just for a point of recognition, I want to just a couple things. I want to do a roll call.
Okay. Berenger's
Trustee Brett?
present.
Carl, present.
O'Connor, present.
Dwyer, trustee Ferraro is absent. Just point of reference. Okay. But first order of business was the public hearing. We had a first and second, yes? We call the question. Public hearing is open. Chapter 155A, property maintenance law. Public hearing is being held this evening, October 1, 2024, in the boardroom of the Village Hall, 7 Stage Road, Monroe, New York, at 7 p.m. to review a proposed local law entitled Amendment to Chapter 155A, Property Maintenance Law. The Village Board of Trustees determines and declares that a clean and wholesome, attractive environment is important to the health and safety of the inhabitants of the Village of Monroe. The public hearing is now open. Anyone from the public wishing to speak upon this local law is welcome to do so.
Mr. Mayor, can I just briefly go over the changes? This is a modification to the property maintenance law.
Sure.
And the first modification is the law as it states right now, as it's on the books, it requires an appearance ticket to be issued only at the third violation within a 12-month period. based on your concerns and concerns from the building department, I modified that to read, the issuance of an appearance ticket shall be at the discretion of the code enforcement officer, which is generally the case. However, an appearance ticket shall be issued with the third notice of violation. So essentially, it's kind of like 3 strikes and you have to go to court. Okay, so that was the first,
Is that within 1 year or?
within 1 year, within a 12-month period. So it's really a rolling 12-month period. It's not like calendar year. It's a rolling 12-month period. So the second, the board asked me to increase the fees. I'm sorry, to increase the penalties, the civil penalties. And I also made those in an amount not less than instead of exceeding, not exceeding. We kept it at $250 for the first conviction of the first offense. From $350 was increased to $500 upon the conviction for a second offense committed within that 12-month rolling period, and $1,000 increased from $500 of any further subsequent offenses. So that's an increase in the civil penalties that you asked me to make. I did add a criminal penalty in addition to and not in lieu of any other remedy, and this criminal penalty was already there, but I misnamed it as a misdemeanor rather than a violation. And as you recall, a misdemeanor is really a misdemeanor is a criminal offense, and you can go to jail for more than 15 days. That's not something that is typically done when it comes to property maintenance violations, so I just changed that to violation. So that's still subject to the increase, to the fine of $1,000 and up to, but not more than 15 days in jail. Okay, so I had to correct that. It should never have been misdemeanor. It should always have been violation. I added D, section D, the continuation of an offense against the provisions of this chapter shall constitute for each week of the offense is continued a separate and distinct offense hereunder. So sometimes it's per day. I've made it per week. And then I added E, civil penalties and injunctions, so that just gives the village board the ability to go to Supreme Court for any other remedies under the law. So if you want to enjoin someone from continuously committing property maintenance violations, you can go to Supreme Court, okay? So those are the modifications that were made to this local law.
Okay, if no one from the public, for the record, no one has come up so far, but if there is anybody that'd like to speak about it, please come on up. You know what this is about? Okay, so we have a property maintenance law in the books. So depending on the violation that you have, you'll be issued a summons by our code enforcement, and you have to remedy it. And then there's an opportunity one time, an opportunity 2 times, and an opportunity 3 times. If you get the 3 times within 12 months, there's a different calendar of events, fees and fines and things like that, should you be found guilty of that. But there's also time to remedy it, and without remedying it, you have an opportunity to come here at due process hearing. There's different things that happen, but it's all about quality of life. It's all about the property, the condition of the property, the way you keep your property. These are incredible issues. Shocking.
Is it the same offense, or is it different offenses on the property? Different maintenance?
It might be the same offense 3 times.
Right.
It has to be the same offense.
No, it may be.
Any, on the
It's
property.
any offense.
It's under,
That property's SBL,
Yeah.
right, specifically. Okay. All right, so no one from the public wishes to speak at this time. I need a motion to close the public hearing.
O'Connor will make the motion.
Carl will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business is the department reports. I need a motion to accept the department reports as submitted by the department heads.
Carl will make that motion.
Berenger will second.
Discussion? Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business is the approval of the meeting minutes of the September 3rd meeting as submitted by the clerk. I need a motion to accept.
Berenger will make the motion.
O'Connor,
And Berenger.
discussion? Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl abstain.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer,
The September 3rd? Was I?
Yes, you were.
All right, then, aye. I thought I wasn't here for that. My apologies.
you were out the 18th. But yeah.
My
Okay.
apologies.
Okay, next order of business is resolutions. First one up is the budget transfers and modifications as submitted by the treasurer. I need a motion to accept them as submitted.
Carl will make that motion.
Second,
O'Connor will second.
discussion? Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, carried, thank you. Okay, next order of business, resignation of Mr. Gregg as part-time dispatcher. Trustee Berenger.
Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the resignation of Lauren Gregg, part-time dispatcher from the Police Department effective July 29th, 2024. And I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Can I get a second, please?
O'Connor will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Next order of business, the appointment of Mr. or Mrs., it's actually Miss Sabrios, a part-time account clerk typist for the building department. Trustee O'Connor.
Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the recommendation of Mayor Dwyer and appoints Maria Elena Sabrios to the part-time position of account clerk typist effective October 3rd, 2024 at an hourly rate of $25 an hour, not to exceed 20 hours a week, from budget line A.3620.1700, building inspector clerical. I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Can I get a second, please?
Berenger will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Next order of business, I just want to, Kim, just to talk about this, this is housekeeping more than anything?
Yes, it's all housekeeping.
Okay. So completion of probation. Resolve the following employees hereby complete their probationary period. In DPW, Ryan Miller, laborer, July 3rd, 2023. Matthew Presculo, heavy equipment operator, October 31, 2023. Aldo Chiappetta, working leader, December 18, 2023. Jason Dobrinsky, laborer, February 6, 2024. Vincent Federici, laborer, February 19, 2024. Stephen Mihawk, head automotive mechanic, August 8, 2024. Justice Court, Danny Lawrence, court attendant, March 19, 2024. Nicole Manfredonia, court clerk, July 8, 2024. Police Department, Timothy Young, lieutenant, December 18, 2023. Richard Haley, dispatcher, February 27, 2024. Francis Armstrong, police officer, March 21, 2024. Bradford Ellens, parking enforcement officer, September 30, 2024. Village Hall, Donna Comby, deputy village treasurer, July 3rd, 2023. Anthony Feliz, village treasurer, April 1, 2024. Ronald Surcheck, thank you. Code enforcement officer, June 23rd, 2024. All the necessary MSD 426Bs are being submitted to the Orange County Department of Human Resources. I need a motion to accept these probation submittals.
Berenger will make the motion.
Carl will second, just for discussion. How is it that we've allowed this, some of these people should have come off probation over a year ago?
They should have, but what happened was I called about one person and then I said, can we just go over a few things? So we did a lot of housekeeping on the phone and we are going to move forward in a different way.
Yeah. Yeah, because that, they really, we,
Yeah, no, that's,
when our hires come in, we should have it posted somewhere that, 6 months or whatever it is.
much better now.
Okay, all right, good, thank you, Kim.
Cleaned up right now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we had a first and second. Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business, trustee O'Connor. Remetta Building Code Enforcement Prosecutor.
Okay, be it resolved, the Board of Trustees designates the law firm of Remetta and Remetta, 30 Matthews Street, Suite 104, Goshen, New York, as special prosecutor for the building code enforcement cases in the Village of Monroe at a rate of $150 per hour. Remetta is currently appointed as our special prosecutor for vehicle and traffic cases. I'd like to put that in the form of a motion.
Second, please.
Berenger. Aye.
Mr.
Berenger will second.
Call the question.
Wait.
Yeah.
I would just title that Code Enforcement Prosecutor, because he's really doing code enforcement, not just building code. He's doing zoning code as well. I would just make that modification. I'm sure it doesn't even matter, because it's his engagement letter, whatever he says in that, okay? But just for the record. Okay, you can call the question.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye. Next is appointment D. Sherman, part-time dispatcher, Police Department. Trustee Berenger.
Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the recommendation of Chief Guzman and appoint Derek Sherman to the position of part-time dispatcher at a salary of $25.20 per hour. The required background investigation, physical and drug screening has been completed. The effective date of hire is October 2nd, 2024, and I'd like to put this in the form of a motion.
Second, please.
Carl will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business, appointment heavy equipment operator Ryan Miller. Resolved, the Board of Trustees approve the recommendation of working leader Aldo Chiappetta and appoint Ryan Miller to the position of heavy equipment operator of 19 Elmwood Drive, Monroe, New York. Mr. Miller has been pre-approved by the Orange County Department of Human Resources with an effective date of October 2nd, 2024, at a rate of pay of $40.80. I need a motion to accept this.
Carl will make the motion.
O'Connor will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Next order of business is the adoption of local law number 5 of 2024, the amendment to chapter 155A, property maintenance law. Whereas the Village Board of the Village of Monroe, New York, duly noticed a public hearing held on October 1st, 2024, and whereas the Village Board solicited public comment during said public hearing on October 1st, 2024, and whereas the proposed local law amends Chapter 155A, Property Maintenance Law, and now therefore be it resolved that the above whereas paragraphs are incorporated herein by reference. 2, the local law amendment to Chapter 155A, Property Maintenance Law, as attached, is adapted as local law number 5 of 2024 of the Village of Monroe on October 1, 2024. Third, the Village Board hereby directs the village clerk to take all steps necessary to process and file the said local law, and 4, the resolution shall take effect immediately upon filing with the Secretary of State. I need a motion to adopt this local law number 5.
Carl will make that motion.
Second,
Berenger will second.
call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Next order of business is a water waiver penalty waiver for town customer 10232. Trustee Carl?
Yep. Resolve, town water customer account 10232 requests to have the $45.71 penalty fee waived from his water account as he overlooked his bill. He has always been in good standing. Resolve, the Board of Trustees denies the request of village, which actually it should be town water, or it's a village water customer, but a town customer. Town water customer 10232 for waiver of water penalties totaling $45.71, and I'll put that in form of a motion.
Second,
O'Connor will second.
call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Next order of business is PD surplus vehicles, Auction International. Trustee Berenger.
Whereas state law requires equipment no longer needed by a municipality be sold at fair market value after declaring its surplus and no longer needed, now therefore be it resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the recommendation of Chief Guzman and declares the following equipment surplus to the needs of the village and authorizes it to be auctioned through Auctions International to the highest bidder. Vehicles to be auctioned are as followed. Vehicle number 458 2011 Chevrolet Tahoe VIN number 1GNSK2E05BR312828. Vehicle number 456, 2013 Ford Interceptor, VIN number 1FM5K8AR9DGA02172. And I'd like to put this in the form of a motion.
Carl will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Next order of business is the Water Department resolution revising the water meter fee rates. Trustee Carl.
Yep. Whereas the cost of providing potable water to village properties and properties located outside the village via agreements with the town of Monroe has been increasing year to year, and whereas village water usage, service, and equipment fees have not been increased since 2006, 2007, and 2010, and whereas the Village of Monroe Board of Trustees finds and determines that in order to continue to provide potable water to water users and to continue to adequately fund water infrastructure, certain village water equipment fees must be increased. Now therefore be it resolved, the Village of Monroe hereby adopts the following water meter fees. Meter size 5/8 inch would be a T10 meter, $700, 3/4 inch T10 meter, $800, 1 inch T10 meter, $900, an inch and a half T10 meter, $1,500, and a 2 inch T10 meter, $2,000. I'll put that in the form of a motion. And this is a sole Neptune is the meter we've been
Yes.
using since the early mid-70s.
Right.
So it would be Neptune water meter on that, but I'll put that in form of a motion.
O'Connor will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business, event application, Monroe Crop Hunger Walk. An event application has been submitted by Fred Sheffer, representative of the Monroe Methodist Church, to hold their 28th annual Crop Hunger Walk on Sunday, October 27, 2024, from 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m., utilizing the walking path of the Lower Mill Pond. The walk will begin at the Methodist Church located on Maple Avenue and circle the Lower Pond 2 times before returning to the church via Stage Road. The application has been reviewed and approved by the Building Department, DPW, and Police Department. Police officers will monitor vehicular and pedestrian traffic during the event. There will be no road closures, and there's no additional cost for additional police protection for this event. Due to the church being a nonprofit 501c3, and this is a volunteer-financed event, Mr. Scherfer is requesting that a $50 application fee be waived. Therefore, resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the request of Fred Scherfer, and representative of the Monroe Methodist Church, to sponsor the 28th Annual Monroe Crop Hunger Walk on Sunday, October 27, 2024, from 2 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Walk will begin and end at the Methodist Church, 47 Maple Avenue. The walk will utilize the Lower Mill Pond walking path. Sign off at the event has been made by the Building, DPW, and Police Department. Officers will monitor vehicular and pedestrian traffic during the event at no additional cost. I need a motion to adopt this event, accept this application.
Carl will make that motion.
Second,
Berenger will second.
discussion. Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye. Second order of business on the same application is a motion to waive the application fee of $50 for the 501c3 event or church.
Carl will make that motion.
Berenger will second.
Discussion. Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business is a request to hang scarecrows and corn stalks, Monroe Woodbury Girl Scouts. In a letter from Barbara Mallory, Service Unit Manager for the Monroe Woodbury Girl Scouts, she requests permission of the Board of Trustees to host their annual Scarecrows in the Village activity. On Sunday, October 13th, 2024, rain date of Saturday, October 19th, the Girl Scouts would like to decorate the downtown of the Village of Monroe with corn stalks and scarecrows for the fall season. The Girl Scouts will gather in the community parking lot, the commuter parking lot, by the bus depot and Beck's at 12 p.m. to take a group photo, and then will proceed to hang the scarecrows and corn stalks on the lampposts. Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves the request of Barbara Mallory for the Monroe Woodbury Girl Scouts to hang corn stalks and scarecrows on the lampposts in the downtown for the fall season on Sunday, October 13th at 12 noon, with a rain date of October 19th. I need a motion to accept the event.
Berenger will make,
Make the motion.
Second.
Berenger will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried.
Just one thing with that, again, I bring it up year after year, just make sure that they don't put them in the crosswalks so that they're, yeah, okay, good, thank you.
The other thing, if you could, tomorrow.
Because
check
at
with her.
nighttime, it looks like people standing there, so I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that, you know, we
The
continue.
other thing is, when you reach out to her, let her know this is approved. Ask her, like, are they planning on putting 10 stalks around a pole or one?
That we haven't ordered corn stalks,
Well, I asked for them.
and that I will be putting them on higher to that.
Okay, so they're putting up scarecrows. Okay,
So do they, so they'll know basically?
They know that now.
Only put it where a corn stalk is.
yeah, we talked about this.
Okay.
Right, okay. Next order of business is bond acceptance for the Monroe Islamic Center, SBL 231-1-3.42. Resolved, the Board of Trustees approves a bond estimate as found acceptable by the village's engineer, Lankin Tully, PC David Higgins, PE, for the Monroe Islamic Center, SBL 231-1-3.42. The submitted cost estimate indicates the total site improvement cost of $779,209 and an accompanying 5% inspection fee of $38,960.45. I need a motion to accept that recommendation by the engineers.
Carl will make that motion.
Second,
Berenger will second.
discussion? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Next order of business, event application, Smith Clove Park Annual Turkey Trot. Trustee Berenger, you wanted that?
Sure.
Thank you so much. We just,
Oh, thank you.
I know that she told me to show up, but just in case there's any questions, so I just showed up.
So I do, yes, so thank you, and I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question real quick. So we have the house, left house, right house. We believe the right house is the original structure. Yes. I believe so. And I'd like to see if we could have a conversation about maybe, possibly, if it's possible, to acquire the right side. I don't know what the plan is, but we, at our cost, would like to acquire the right side.
Oh, I want to make sure that we're on the same page. Could I pull out the plan and then
Yeah.
let's talk about it? Because I printed a couple of pages, so let's see if you have, okay, I have the, luckily I have the existing condition plan, let's see.
And I could come out there too, you know, just,
Because this is the garage and the shed.
in the back.
Yeah, so this is the primary structure that's used for the fair. And this is a shade structure, and this is the shade structure.
Okay, so this is Orange Turnpike.
Correct.
This one.
Okay. So the way it's being proposed, the proposed building is actually occupying the whole area there. So over there is pretty much they need the parking and the side by side.
Well, I don't want you to keep it there. I want to take it out of there.
Oh, we're gonna just take it out.
I want to take it, lift it, take it out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Yeah,
So one of
if
the
possible. We need to go there, we need to do a site evaluation, make sure it's applicable, it's possible,
Okay.
and the board needs to approve the operation to happen.
Okay.
So it's just something we thought about. The home dates back to 1743, I believe, or 41. So we'd like to, you know,
Okay.
invest
So
a
you
little
just leave it
time.
up. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't want to trouble the process. We wanted to wait till you got your final approvals and then ask the request.
So one thing I want to bring to your attention, as part of the demolition permit application, we have to do the asbestos inspection. It came to be pretty much everything clean, except the window. They have the window carving. There's some asbestos.
Okay,
So he retained an asbestos professional to remove those asbestos, which is going to be in next couple of weeks.
Yes,
Or-
in 2
so
weeks, hopefully.
Once this has been removed, and we're going to give you a okay saying that it's clean.
Clean house, right.
Then you could coordinate each other to see how you're going to do it or not.
Okay, that'd be great. So I would get in touch with Mohammed or I would
Yes,
get, yeah.
Mohammed is fine, he's
Yeah.
in charge,
Yeah.
we have the lab sample came in, how many samples was done, 48 samples, right, okay? And
Yeah.
majority came to be clean, except that window caulking has.
Okay.
So we're
All
gonna
right.
clean up and take it from there.
So I'll get in touch real short order and we'll deal with it.
You have my email address?
I do. I appreciate that.
Any phone number you want to give me to contact, or?
To give you my number, I would just call, if we're gonna communicate, let's communicate to the clerk.
Sure, yeah.
Just call Village Hall
Do
and
you
she'll,
need your cell phone number to order?
You guys get lunches in the morning.
Email, okay, email
Yeah.
is fine, great, yeah.
all right?
Or you have my email too, either way, if you can,
Right.
yeah, if you could talk to me.
That'd be awesome.
With email,
That's great.
and it will be better.
Okay, thank you
So,
very much, appreciate it.
One thing I want to ask you, Ron, right, it could be also letter of credit, we're trying to figure out, how
Yes.
to make things work, because
Yes,
it's a religious institution, right, and there is no value of the building, real value, so we are looking for a way to get things done, either letter of credit or performance bond through the insurance agent, we are trying to figure things out. I think the village code is for the letter of credit or the performance bond.
yeah, I don't see a problem with it, I don't know if council, actually, I don't think
I
so.
didn't hear the question.
So the question is, so if you have an estimate, site plan completion of $779,000, should they default, what do we have to capture that, to complete that, or to mitigate what they haven't done? So, 779, cash, letter of credit, or they go out and get a bond.
Performance bond, yeah.
So instead of getting a,
It would depend on what the code says. If it says letter of credit or cash, then that's it.
Yeah, the
If
code
it
says
says
letter of credit.
bond, then you can get a bond.
Understood.
yeah, I believe it's a letter of credit is
Yeah,
acceptable.
okay.
Yeah.
So we'll figure, whatever the easier way, we'll get this out, so.
Yep, and I think you're going to submit to us and the building department that letter of credit, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Or
That
to
is
the
needed
engineer.
prior to this.
Exactly, yeah. So with your final application or whatever is required, you'll forward that on, and then we're good to go.
Great.
Whatever you need. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you
Very
so much. All the best.
Thank you. Okay, I think I'm reading the event application, is that what we said?
Yes, please.
Okay. Should I just start? Okay. The Monroe Joint Park Commission submitted an event application for their annual turkey trot race. The race is scheduled for Sunday, November 24th, 2024, starting at 9 a.m. and will begin and end at Smith's Clove Park. The race route would be as follows. Starting at Smith's Clove Park, runners will make a right onto Spring Street and make a left onto Mapes Place. Runners will make a left onto Carpenter Place and a right onto Maple Avenue. Runners will continue up Maple Avenue, cross Stage Road to Mill Pond Parkway, and continue along Mill Pond Parkway to the Airplane Park. Runners will make a right onto Route 17M/Route 208 and proceed up to North Main Street. They will cross North Main to Scunnamunk Road and proceed around to Forest Avenue. Runners will take Forest Avenue down to Franklin Avenue and make a left onto Franklin, another left onto Spring Street, and return to Smith's Clove Park. Approval and sign-off of the event application has been done by the Building Department and the Highway and Police Departments. The Police Department will oversee the event with 8 officers on 3 hours of overtime to assist with the traffic control points throughout the race route. Officers will monitor the event and provide any necessary assistance. The estimated cost of additional police protection for this event is $1,680. Approval of this event will also be contingent upon approval of the New York State Department of Transportation 33-C permitted to utilize State Route 17M and 208. Resolved contingent upon the approval of New York State Department of Transportation to use State Route 17M and Route 208, the Board of Trustees approved the Monroe Joint Park Commission's request to hold their annual turkey trot on Sunday, November 24th, 2024. The race will run from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m., and the event will be coordinated with the Monroe Police Department, Monroe Fire District, and Monroe Volunteer Ambulance Corps will be notified. Marshall and Sterling will also be notified to include this event to the village's insurance as it is village-sponsored community event. And I'd like to put this in the form of a motion.
Second, please.
Carl will second that.
Question? Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Okay, next order of business is the proposal by Barton and Low Giudice to the North Pond pedestrian bridge. Resolved, the Board of Trustees authorize Mayor Dwyer to sign the proposal with Barton and Low Giudice to assess the environmental permitting requirements needed to replace the existing land bridge at the North Pond with a bridge or culvert structure in the amount of $2,500 to be allocated from budget line A1440.4510, Crane Park Engineer Contractual. Just to give the public and everyone here a little background on this. So there's a land bridge currently that runs in the North Pond from the mainland, it will say, to the island on the North Pond where the gazebo is and such. That land bridge was never authorized or approved to be placed there. It was done. It is what it is, but at the cost of the quality of water on the opposite side of the land bridge, which gets zero flow now. By looking at the idea or the concept of making it a bridge, it allows water to flow under it. The water flow is not very good. It's not fed by anything that's very voracious. It's got some springs and mostly stormwater management coming into the pond, but it would help. So it's a great thing to look at, both aesthetically and from the point of keeping the water quality as best we can. So I met with Barton Lodogidis, and they had proposed this initial engineering study be done to see if it's even possible to do. So I need a motion.
O'Connor will make the motion.
I need a second.
Carl will second.
Discussion?
Yeah, just, when they put that roadway in, it was done with millings that they had, and they, like you alluded to before, it was just done. But what we should be looking at, because you do get flows coming from Round Lake, because that's the feeder coming from Round Lake, it works its way down, as well as Maple Knolls and all of that drains into that drainage basin. But one of the things we may want to look at, especially during low flows, putting this culvert in, I agree, it should be done, is to the current body of water that flows out and kind of makes the left and goes underneath Lake Street and then heads towards the waterfall, is to maybe a couple of feet below the water line, is to put a reef in there, so to speak. So when the low flows come, it's going to it'll hit that reef and kind of push the water
Right, to the left.
to go underneath the new proposed culvert pipes and then flow it out and around. So that might be something you might want to talk to them about as well.
Interesting you said that, because one of the engineers that was on site had mentioned creating some sort of a Y to kind of like divert some of that, to your point. So it's a great idea, and it'd probably be exactly what they would do.
And then the
Because
heavy,
it's lazy to begin with.
yeah, basically you probably use large shot rock and larger stone, and then the heavier flows, it'll just go right over top of it and head
Straight down the road.
head south,
Right, yeah.
But I think it's something to look at. So you get during the lower flows, at least you got more water getting pushed around to
Clean it out, and get it moving.
yeah. But eventually, at some point, I think we need to, that pond's going to have to get, the north pond's going to have to get dredged out as well. I'm just,
So, interesting little side story, real quick. So during the discussion of pre-construction on the south pond, the contractor actually brought up the north pond. And there may be opportunity to do some work there, in particular, maybe closer to the island, closer to the infall, and closer to the bridge, just to get that ball rolling. And for instance, if they find when they're digging, or hydrovacking, if you will, and they find that they don't have the yield or the cubic yardage, they may be willing and looking to go over to the other side. So we're reaching out to the Army Corps and the DEC to see, hey, our permit, can we extend it a little bit onto the North Pond? So maybe we consider doing it and getting it done. If we have to see what the funds are, but yeah.
well, we got to reach out to all our elected officials running for office.
Yeah, well, I'd
Start
like to.
asking. We were lucky a couple of years ago to get some money. Let's
Try
see
to do
what
it
they
again.
got for us.
When is the dredging starting?
2 weeks.
Okay. Is that, I noticed something in the pond, like,
Stakes.
yeah,
Yeah, they did a survey, they did a bathymetric survey to tell them how far down below the water the current silt level is.
okay,
And they drive it until they get the hard pan, and then they know how much material they can come out.
okay.
Is there quite a bit of material, or?
In some areas are a puzzle. In some areas, if you can believe it, they're hitting flat rock. And they initially thought it was a foundation. I said, there's no foundations down there. That's been a swamp since the dinosaurs. So, but there could be flat rock there. I mean, it could be. I mean, there's nothing but shale up on the North Pond flatland there. So who knows, you know, but they're gonna know it, and then they're actually thinking about then mechanically going in and pulling out the material to see what's there. So there may even be a big clam excavators on site as well.
Maybe a T-Rex skeleton or something.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know. We could add something to Museum Village.
Okay, so we had a first and second. Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Next order of business, proposal by Barton Legidis for the traffic signal engineering design on Orange Turnpike, Pine Tree, Still, and Stage Roads. Resolved, the Board of Trustees authorize Mayor Dwyer to sign the proposal with Barton Legidis, DPC, to design a traffic signal at the intersection of Orange Turnpike, Pine Tree Road, Still Road, and Stage Road. Included in the proposed scope of services, a detailed ground survey, detailed design including development of construction plans and bid documents, bidding services and award support, and construction administration support. Additionally, they have included their technical assumptions, anticipated project schedule, and cost proposal to conduct the requested traffic signal design services in the amount not to exceed $40,400 to be allocated from budget line A1440.4520 intersection study engineer contract. I need a motion to accept this proposal by Barton Legidis.
O'Connor will make the motion.
Second?
Carl will second. Discussion.
Yep.
Are they gonna lay out whatever properties are owned by the village in that area?
Yeah.
And what
All the margins.
Right,
And
so,
within those margins, they're gonna go for the project. Like, for instance, there's a hunk of it on McDonald's old house.
right,
There's a hunk of it on Barnett condos, believe it or not, that we own. So the fir tree line,
yeah,
everything on this side is ours. And there may be something on the other side, by Lou's old property, coming up from Orange Turnpike onto Pine Tree. There's a big hunk of it there. So their direction was to find the outside margins,
okay.
because we don't know exactly after they find the outside margins, if the project, when it lands in it, does it land within the margins, or do we have to go to a easement and take some property?
Well, that, I guess that was what my next question was gonna be, because there might be land acquisition down the road in order to achieve that. Now, are we looking to do a roundabout or a rotary there, or have we come up with
Yeah, no,
the game plan?
do we have the design?
I gave everybody the proposal that you have, I don't know if I have a picture.
Okay, so what we can do tomorrow, just send it to the board, to everybody. Send them, Kim, the full packet, including the design of that intersection. Basically, right,
Because that, I mean, just looking at, again, I don't know how much, we're gonna know how much property we own there, but that might be a benchmark for our first rotary in that area.
it could be, but I think the rotary, I think it's gonna get heavily, forget about the right side because there's a home there. But, so driving down Stage Road, this side is out of the equation. Everything that would be rotary would be based on the hill on Pine Tree and the Barnett condos.
And that little triangle that's coming off of Stage Road.
Oh, that'd be
I mean,
gone. That'd be part of it, yeah.
Just flow right out into that.
Right into
It's something that, hopefully our engineers will look at.
Okay. Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay, so we had a first, second, call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried, thank you. Next order of business is the Water Department purchase of the fence work. Trustee Carl?
Yep, the Water Department received 3 bids for the purchase of fencing for the water plant located at 76 Woodcock Road, Monroe, and the Water Plant Road Gatehouse. Builtwell Fence in Monroe, New York, bid $23,184. Ketchum Fencing Incorporated, Otisville, New York, $24,134. And Protection Fence Company of Chester, New York, bid was $38,130. Resolved, the Board of Trustees accepts the recommendation of Ernie Mabey, water plant operator, and award the bid to purchase fencing for 76 Woodcock Road and Water Plant Road Gatehouse from Builtwell Fence Incorporated in the amount of $23,184 to be allocated from budget line F 8330.4520 purification building maintenance in the amount of $17,323, and F 8320.4500 source contractual in the amount of $5,861, and I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second, please.
O'Connor will second.
Call the question.
Berenger, aye.
Carl, I.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried.
It's really, I just want to make a comment. It's nice to see that the lowest bid came in from a Monroe-owned business that's
Yeah.
been here forever. So that's, and it's a big difference from the lowest to the highest.
Right. Well, that may be some of his doing too, trying to
Yeah.
be the right guy. But, you go out to bid, you hope for whatever, and, getting the work done is paramount, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that. Mayor's report. The only thing I have is for the public, the Cheese Fest was huge. It's so well attended every year since it's come back. People love it, and we continue to grow with it. Thanks to our chair, Mary Kalura, and her team of volunteers. It was really remarkable. We had a great group of young people from Sacred Heart come in to help with all the planning and the kids' events, and that was very much appreciated. One of the really side things that comes out of that is, so we have, a pretty good population. We have a group of Hispanics that live in the community and do not speak English per se. And these young people came in and were able to help us with bilingual interpretation where it needed to be, so whether it was getting directions, whether it was setting up as a vendor, whether it was coming into the event. So for that reason, it was really, really very much appreciated. So really happy about it. So thank you to everybody that attended. We definitely want to come back next year. It's going to be bigger and better.
It was great. I especially enjoyed the setup of the music with the tables. It was really nice to be able to sit and eat your food, and it was really a great event.
Yes, and believe it or not, there was a lot of cheese. It was. Okay, you have anything for the?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Okay, I have one thing.
Go ahead, sorry.
So I know Museum Village is near and dear to many of our hearts that live in Monroe. And I was speaking with a friend of mine, and she was just saying how No Scare Halloween is October 26th and 27th, and Christmas in the Village is December 14th and 15th. And Museum Village really hopes that a lot of people will come attend their events. I'm really hoping, I wish every elementary school in Orange County would have their trips there. They are also looking for adult volunteers. Maybe some people have time on their hands, want to do something for the community to help out at some of their events, like the No Scare Halloween and Christmas in the Village. So if anyone's interested, you can let me know or reach out to Museum Village.
Thank you, Jim.
We just talked about the pond dredging is going to start in 2 weeks.
Yes.
Okay, how long, do we know how long it's going to take?
They want to be done by the new year. Well, and I say done, they want to have the slurry in the socks, just for the public at home. So just imagine a sock you put on your foot. Well, imagine that sock is now 150 feet long, and it's 90 feet wide, and it's on average 6 feet tall. That's what gets packed into these socks. And I think there's 8 socks altogether. I think they're estimating 8 or 9 socks. I'm pretty sure about that. And they're going to be pumping this slurry out of the pond up and into these socks. When it's full, they're going to knot them off. And what happens is the slurry begins to dewater, leaving the solids in the sock. When it gets to a certain point, the socks are opened up, and what's left is a solid material that's movable, picked up and relocated to another site or dispersed on the grounds right there. So to answer your question, that's what they hope to have ready by the new year at the sock. Because after the sock is in and it's dewatering, it's the Village of Monroe's responsibility. That's how we made it cost affordable.
Will that impact anybody walking around the ponds on the?
It shouldn't. The only thing we're going to do is we're going to put a construction fence around the project area, and all the equipment will be cordoned off.
How long will that stuff take to dry out, Neil?
They say cold weather is better. I never thought of this. Cold water is better than warm weather.
You don't have humidity, so.
I think they say by late March we should be able to use the material.
Wait, when did you say?
Late March, assuming that they get it all in the socks and it's there by the new year. I'm sure it's not gonna smell too good, but
Well, at least the cold weather,
will help,
Yeah.
It's gonna help a lot.
But yeah, I'm sure it could be. There was a guy years ago, and I don't know how long ago, I wanna say either in the 90s, maybe, there was a guy that was actually gonna do it for us,
97.
97, and he was gonna pay the bill, but he was gonna take the material and he was gonna incorporate it into his farm, if you will, or topsoil business. And the board declined the offer.
I mean, I take the slush off the bottom of my koi pond, and put it in my garden.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's only broken down bio. Yeah, no, absolutely. So, yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry, yep.
All right, any update on the clerk's office, the work
So-
getting done in there?
Yeah, so there's really no update other than the fact that the drawings have been revamped. As we've all agreed, we reduced the scope of work, and they're gonna be going out. We have 2 bidders. We're looking to find a third that'll take it on. So that hopefully will be happening by the end of the week. And they shouldn't take a week to give us a bid back, and then the work would begin. I would suspect that maybe Thanksgiving.
All right, any more with O&R and the street light upgrade?
Yeah, so there's a meeting next week. I was gonna let you know if you were up for it, to attend. I've asked Orange and Rockland to come in with their folks on a couple of pieces. Number one, the street light we've been talking about for Forge and Seal. And so that someone's coming for that. That is in construction drawings right now, believe it or not. And the lighting project, I've asked for some information that we haven't gotten to date. So hopefully next week we'll know
Okay,
what's going on.
all right.
It's over a year.
Yeah, over a year.
Yep.
Just curious on the kiosk performance. How is that working out? What's the feedback?
So for the most part, it's working. We have gotten some folks who said they can't operate it. But I think one of the problems in the operation is you see a black screen, it's a solar powered kiosk. So it goes to sleep every time it gets a user. When that transaction is complete, it goes back to sleep, so black screen. So people look at it and they start hitting buttons and nothing's happening, right? There's a start button where you start the process. If you hit the button, not the word start, but the button, the screen comes up nice and bright like yours. And then it asks for a couple of steps. The very first thing it asks for is your license plate.
Is there instructions and stuff there?
Right there, yeah.
Everything is there?
Everything's
Okay.
there. And so I'm actually going to do a video. Andrew's gonna direct me and produce the video. And we're going to have me do it, the process. And we're gonna put it out on all our platforms. I've also purchased, the clerk had purchased these 5" by 7" plexiglass self-standing things like this, 5 inches by 7 inches, and it's going to say, and it's gonna be given out to every business in the village of Monroe that's in this district. And it's gonna say, please pay at the kiosk if you are in a green box. Because what we did to further enhance this
Saw the green
was
donut
to put the green box, because we're getting folks saying, I don't know where I should or shouldn't be or could be or wouldn't be. There's always been meters in the village of Monroe. As a matter of fact, it was probably 200. And now there's 10 kiosks. So we've actually ordered another one because we see a problem on the mill pond, and we're thinking there's a problem in front of the PD as well. So based on that, it's 4 steps and you're done. Doesn't get any easier. I've used coin and I've used my debit card, and both work.
And I would think we're seeing improvement. I know I had
I
seen.
do too.
I know I had seen comments from people, but I believe that it was a lot of the same cars were sitting out, in the downtown for the day.
Yeah, this is certainly not a revenue maker.
No, and it was never meant to be
No.
a revenue maker. It's to
Right.
give people the access to the parking to run into a store, and when the owner of the store's got 2 or 3 cars parked out there all day, you're defeating
Right.
the purpose of having people come into your store by, giving them convenient parking.
Right.
Like I say, I haven't been around that much, but I just was curious.
No,
if
it's
that
working.
was-
I mean, we do have a couple of problems. I've taken, people have come to me with the tickets, I take the tickets and I've paid them myself personally, just because listen, okay, maybe you didn't, maybe whatever. But when you hear that the meter, the kiosk is here, and 2 spots down it says to pay the meter, we've now added signs at the kiosk saying pay here. The next thing is, we're gonna maybe need an attendant to be placed at every kiosk. I'm not sure.
Do they have a uniform too?
Yes, with a little cap. You know, somebody wanted a bigger sign, and these signs that we get, these aren't signs that we design. These are signs that come from companies that make transportation municipal signs. This is the real deal. Whether they're 12 by 18s, 18 by 24s, by 36, everything is done through a company that does this stuff legitimately, you know? So it's really important that they recognize it. But I think it's just a couple. I wouldn't say it's been a big issue, but it has had a few.
I just got a couple more quick things. Crane Park, I know they came in, the football league, and again, I'm all for sports, I'm all for that. And the board agreed to allow the use of Crane Park, you know, for their practices.
Right.
And I know I had discussed at that meeting about it getting dark earlier now, and we were assured by those folks that, you know, they would be out of there before dark. And now I see light towers set up over there. Did the board authorize that?
The board didn't authorize it, the mayor did. Only because, you know, they're practicing until 7 o'clock, and, you know.
That was brought up that night by me, that it was getting dark early and it was a concern. Nobody then. Well, I did say it.
Okay.
I mean,
That's fine.
I said it.
Yep.
But we were assured, no, we'd be at it before dark, and that there was enough street lights around there, we'll be fine. And now, obviously, maybe I was right, because now we got light towers up there.
Yeah.
And my concern, and again, it's not against the children, the youth, the volunteers that coach the kids. It's got nothing to do with that. It's once you start setting a precedent for one group, I think the floodgates are going to open. And it goes back to what we talked about. We got to have a conversation with Smithcliffe Park over there, because there's a practice field in the back. And I went over there the day after that meeting, and I looked at it, and it's got lights on it, and it doesn't look like anybody's using it.
I suggested that they use that. And
that's
a conversation we're gonna have separately on a legal basis.
That's what's rubbing me the wrong way is,
No,
you know,
I don't argue
what's going on? I mean,
Yeah.
and if it's personalities, or this league doesn't like that league, this stuff's got to stop. You know, there's only so much left of Monroe, and we need to work together.
What is restricting them from using it? Laws, legal?
So there's a set of bylaws that were established, I believe, in 71.
Okay.
And 64, the park was ours, by Roscoe Smith, Village of Monroe, that's it. And then somewhere in 71, the bylaws were brought in because the town began to participate financially in the decision process. So as a result of that, commissioners were established, 5 from the village, 5 from the town. That created a set of bylaws under which the park would administer to whatever goes on there. In the bylaw is that only one league of any kind, as I understand it, was allowed to play there. That law was, I think, I need to confirm it, maybe about 11 years ago, thereabouts. And prior to that, I don't know if that law existed.
To me, that's selective. You're being selective. So what happens if one group gets their petition in or their application before the other group that's been here forever? Is that possible that could happen?
It's gonna happen this year coming up.
So the one group would come in and the other one wouldn't be able to use it?
I don't know.
Because if we're denying people the rights to use that park, that's a concern. And I think it's you know, I think we're peeling the Band-Aid off the scab here, because now what I see going on at Crane Park, and there's a lot of kids down there playing, practicing, that should be over there practicing.
Well, there's a difference between practicing and having games, because there's also, fields also can only be used so much, because then they get
Yeah, they get
overuse.
the turf, you got your turf management.
Right. I wasn't sure, I mean, we've been lucky that we haven't had a lot of rain. A couple days we have. But I think also, from what I understand, it's the same as Little League can use it, but then if another baseball league like OC Smash wants to come, they're not allowed because the one league uses it. I don't know. I don't know who uses the school. I know my daughter plays soccer. She uses the school for one practice and she uses another facility for another. I don't know
Like
the
I say,
answer.
something's not right. That now, they're coming in the front door here begging for field use. All right, we granted it to them, for practice. But again, you do for one, you got to do for all. And same with Smith Clove Park. If somebody's got to have their petition in or application and they beat the one that's been in there for the last 40 years, now what? I see this whole thing is going to be a problem, and looking at those ball fields in Smith Clove that they redid, I don't know, maybe 12 years ago, 15 years ago, give or take. Oh, look at them. They're horrible.
The one in the back, you mean, or the main one?
They're horrible. Those Little League fields in the front, they're terrible. They put a lot of money into them, and it's like, there's training out there. There's turf management classes that they should have employees going to. Maybe they do. I don't know. But you go look at those fields. That day I was over there, I was like, I couldn't believe the condition of the fields.
Well, just rough.
Yeah, they just look like they're, they cut the grass and the warning tracks got crabgrass and weeds growing through it. I mean, this is Monroe. We should be able to do better than that.
Yeah.
I'm looking at all these old sodium vapor lights in the Little League or the softball field that I played at when I was playing in the senior league there.
Yeah.
They're still there.
Well, maybe it's time to start thinking differently. I don't know, I think, listen, I can tell you, that I went over to the park and,
I just think there needs to be a conversation. Maybe,
you need to have a conversation.
Well, maybe it's time that the town board, the village board, and the Smith Clove Park board sit down. We're the ones funding it. The town and us are funding that. And where's the money going? Or is there not enough money going into it?
Well, I do think, and I did say this, I don't know if it was last year or the year before, I had showed up to a town. When I was trustee, Jimmy was mayor, Jimmy would bring me over to the meetings and we would have workshops. Paul Truax would spell line by line everything that was being done at the park and the budget requests and whatnot. Harley Doles was there, Jerry McQuaid, Dan Burke, and we'd have this discussion like we're doing right now. And I remember doing it once at the movie theater or twice at the movie theater, or maybe at town hall or whatever, or the senior center. And it was always a discussion. And we last year, I think it gave 318,000 was the number, yes? And the 318 is actually $6,000 less than I gave them my first year as mayor.
Well, I will say I do think that the events have really improved in the past couple of years. I think that they do a lot more than what was done in the past. And I know the camp used to not really pay much at all. And I know that the salaries are much better for the young kids that are working there. And I feel they've improved the camp. I don't really go there as much anymore because my kids are older. I know that they just invited us I was looking in our thing to the turkey trot. Maybe if we go to some of their events, we are invited to all of them and see, what we think of them. And I know we did get a budget recently in the past couple of weeks sent to us.
Well, again, maybe it's being underfunded.
Which I think it is, and I said it.
Maybe
at the
that
town
may
board
be
meeting.
some of the problem, but it just just looking at the fields and stuff over there, I think there's a lot of improvement, especially when they spent a lot of money on those Little League fields, redoing them. But again, I think there needs maybe it's time that all three boards meet and see which direction we're going in. And
Listen, we can't meet unless we do it in public.
well, that's what.
Oh, that's good with me.
I think all three boards meet, have a public meeting. Anybody from the public wants to come, let them come. But I think we need to get some sort of a direction on where as a community that we're going.
Well, yeah. Right, well,
You know,
that's
and there's, you know, it could be a workshop with all of us, but, and no public comment, people from the, they can come and listen. Because you just, the last thing you want is everybody jumping up and down and pointing fingers. That solves nothing.
That's what I'm saying, I don't think that's that environment. I think if you, I think would probably benefit most. I'd take your liaison, Andy Ferraro, trustee Ferraro, yourself, set up with those folks over there and set up with 2 people from the town and have that sit down. I think you'd learn a lot.
I think
It'd be an eye opener, I'll tell
a
you that.
lot could come out of it, and everybody's in budget right now, and we realize that we're underfunding that park. That might be the first step. But that's with that. I just, the last thing I got is, I had a conversation with Abraham Floor tonight. And I know it's in other developments in other areas of the village, but I see it every day where I live. And we need to get an outreach program between the police and the Hasidic community so that we all understand when I come home at night at 7:30, 8 o'clock when it's dark out and small children are in the streets with scooters, bicycles with training wheels onto them, riding around and no adult supervision. It's alarming, it's concerning. The town of Ramapo, this year, I believe there was 19 children that have been struck by vehicles down there. I don't want to see that up here. Abraham agreed with me. He's willing to get something going. Chief Guzman was in part of the conversation when we talked about it. But I really, he was.
Oh,
Yeah.
Chief Guzman?
Yeah, I was over here tonight. Went over there for the ceremony. But I really think that before something tragic happens, that we, try to get the folks, we've got sidewalks. Our last meeting that I came to, I brought up the fact that, we have to shovel our sidewalks in the winter to keep them free and clear for people to walk on. Well, that goes for the summertime as well. And if you take a ride around, you'll see what I'm talking about, with the sidewalks clogged with garbage pails, toys, bicycles, scooters, whatever, cars. We want a safe environment for everybody. But like I said, I just kind of had the conversation quickly with Abraham and with the chief, but I think it's something that really needs to, we need to bring it to the forefront. We don't need any tragedies
It
here.
almost seems a little like kind of property maintenance-ish. I know you had talked about the garbage cans being brought in, but I know what you're saying about the bicycles.
Well, and it's, the DPW guys, I can probably say that street sweeper probably once a week comes in my development, and 3 days after it's been there, you wouldn't even know it was there. The wrappers left in the street, popsicle stick, you name it, it's there. And, that's not the community I want to live in. I want a nice community, everybody lives in harmony, and you just respect everybody else. And, I think that's something that we need to work on, and maybe with an outreach program with the key people, we can discuss it, and, hopefully get the word out, especially with the children in the streets, because it's dangerous. And the last thing, I want to thank the board and the village employees for standing by me. The last few weeks, it's been tough. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Trustee O'Connor?
I'm good.
Okay, council? Okay, very good. Anyone from the public wish to speak, please?
I live over here in senior
If
housing.
you could just come up to the mic, please, you mind? Thanks so much. And just give the clerk your name.
Valerie Seabury.
That's what the clerk right there.
Sorry. Seabury, S, like a Sam, E-A, E like in boy, R-E. I live over here in Monroe Commons Senior Housing,
Okay,
there are 35 apartments, 15 parking spots. Every one of those is assigned to someone who has a health issue. So we have like 20 apartments that have no parking on November 1st until April 1st. There's no overnight parking. There's nowhere for us to park. People have gotten rid of their cars, given them to their adult children to come and drive them to their doctor's appointments. People have moved out of the building because of last year when they changed the parking and the community parking. Because when we first moved in, I've been there for 8 years, we were told if you don't find a spot in front of the Monroe Commons in that parking lot, you can always park in the parking lot,
the commuter lot.
right, the commuter lot. And then when they change, you know, sometimes some person might say, I got a ticket, but mostly that's what we did. And then last year, everyone was getting tickets. Some people got 6 tickets, some people, you know, and then it was like, well, what are we gonna do? Besides move out, get rid of your car. So I'm wondering, I'm gonna tell the other neighbors when I get back, but what can we do? Where can we legally park and not too far? I'm doing my physical therapy, but sometimes the knee goes out anyway.
So let's talk about this. So first of all, I asked the clerk for tomorrow morning to pull out the first prospectus when that property was first built. So we're gonna find that, okay? The fellow who developed it has sold the property, he divested of all those types of subsidized housing, and a new company came in. Now, when we brought the new company in, council and I met with them, and in order to keep it affordable under the New York State guidelines, we had to agree to not increase the the property tax on the village property more than $5 per unit. So you said there's 34 units?
Yeah, I think
Right.
34, 35.
Right. So for 100,
35 units there on a half-acre parcel.
so by increasing the taxes $160 or thereabouts, you guys can keep your status as affordable housing, which is a tremendous benefit, right, for a lot of folks. So that's a good thing. What I don't know, and I haven't read yet, and I will tomorrow, is to look at to see what exactly was done when the site plan and the planning board had approved that project. Meaning that, was the approval based upon single or couples that no longer either drove or did not own a car? I don't know the guidance behind it. How could you clearly have 35 units and 15 spots?
That's what we all keep saying.
And
That happened.
then to your question or point just now, you just said that these spots are assigned. Okay, so when they're telling you, management's telling you, well, if you don't find a spot here, go there. They can't say if you don't find a spot because these spots are assigned. So you're out to begin with.
Yes.
Now, when you go to your other parking spot, right? In order to come back to the commons, you have to walk over the trail, right?
That's one way if it's light, bright enough early.
Otherwise, you would go, what, through
You
the
have to go
alleyway?
all the way around.
Okay, well, I would definitely want to see you do that, because to go through that area here is not safe, right? So that's another opportunity, but we have to find out. I was there the other day on another matter, and I'm actually looking into some other ideas for additional parking. Unrelated, actually, just looked at it and said, I don't even understand why. Now, we're gonna learn what that prospectus says. We're gonna look to see what the planning board approved and how and why they did what they did. I think the property goes back to the late 90s.
The Village of Monroe took that property on a tax foreclosure when Beckwith Storage burned down.
Yep.
The village took the property for back taxes. Hooked up with Jonah Mendelbaum.
What year was that?
Early mid-90s.
Yeah.
It was somewhere around there. And that's how they decided, we needed senior housing here in Monroe. And I remember the late Ben Ostra, when he was my attorney here while I was mayor. They said that was the highest dense piece of property in Orange County, a half-acre lot with 35 units on it.
So I need to look at that. That doesn't solve your problem automatically. So I don't know, I don't have an answer for you tonight, but I'm gonna find out what, if anything, could be done. I'm gonna speak to the sponsor, the person who owns the property. I'm gonna look at the original documents and see how they all jive out to my understanding. And then we'll go from there. There may be something else that could possibly be done, and I'd be willing to entertain it. You know, it's not your fault that you don't have parking, but what we do have in the commuter lot are issues. So the commuter lot, you know, parking's generally in this village, that's the reason we talked about kiosks tonight. We don't have an abundance of it. And it's a commodity that's, you know, we're trying to protect. The commuter lots in the season, November to April, you can have a snowfall and we can't clean it properly with cars there. And that's what happened last year, I think, when it was first enforced. So we need to deal with that as well. We can't have cars, you know, and then you can't be walking on it because, God forbid, you have an exposure or something happens to you while you're out there as well. It's our property. So that's another concern. So we got a few things that we have to figure out.
Okay, and also keep in mind, it's not just the tenants who live there, it's the healthcare workers who come and stay overnight with some of the tenants who need healthcare workers, and then they're out in the cold waiting at 6 a.m. for their husband to come and pick them up. And relatives who want to visit on Thanksgiving, they have nowhere to stay.
Sure.
You know, if they want to visit us for a couple of days, where are they going to park? You know, so it sort of trickles down to a sort of a less than life where everybody sort of, my daughter says, move out already. She's begging me to move out of Monroe. And I said, no, this is my community. Here for 8 years. I know where everything is. I said, you find me another community like this and I'll consider it.
No, I understand 100%.
You don't want to move out, it's your home.
It's interesting, you know, but we have to learn.
Right, you do, I understand.
That's gonna tell me what's going,
Right,
what's, you know, how did that happen?
Right, it could be grandfathered in or who knows what, but.
We don't know, you
Right.
know, and since that first, let's see, there's been 4 mayors since that time. So, and we have to go back to the first one and say, hey, what do the records show? How was it done? Why was it done? You just said the AIDS. I don't know, was that a condition back then? I knew somebody whose mother was there, and she was infirmed as well. I don't know if being in those apartments, you're required to be ambulatory or not.
I don't know about that because we do have people who have either relatives who come constantly, and we do have definitely one person who has AIDS. So I think maybe it is okay, I don't know.
Yeah, and I've delivered food there, so obviously people aren't even getting out
Right, that's
to
another
shop or
thing,
whatever, so,
food and stuff.
yeah.
I know you have to look at it, I did look at the contact us today, and I emailed something, so you have all my information under how I received brief. It'll be
What
there,
about, you know,
just
when we
basically
walk that
say-
alleyway up there along the trail, put
Yes.
diagonal parking in there?
So,
Might be the-
let me just shut this off.
That might be something to look at.
But the only other thing I want to know was, I know there's gonna be.
What I'm mostly concerned about is,
We still gotta do snow removal on it, and
right,
snow is
and
an
our
issue.
margins, because from the center line of the Heritage Trail, left and right, I mean, the whole thing sounds a bit fugazi to me, right, and I'm sure to him and the board, right? But the fact of the matter is that the trail, in theory, from the center of that trail, it's 10 foot wide, let's say, at the 5 foot center mark, 30 feet that way and 30 feet that way belong to Orange County. And the encroachment by private property owners is just astounding. Okay, so, and they're not aware of it, and they're just probably just trying to be nice about it as well, like we are. You know, let Charlie go there, whatever, you know? But at the end of the day, we've got problems, and now it's coming home to roost. So we need to really do some homework. We need to understand what that document said initially and how it was. I never thought about this when we did this, what, 2 years ago? Not even?
It never came up as even an issue.
No, exactly, because I'm saying, well, my point being, had it come out, had I known about that, that maybe been part of my conversation. I don't know what I could have done about it then, but I could have asked the original sponsor and now the new owner, hey, what can we do for these folks? This is why, because da-da-da-da, and then maybe they would have maybe come up with something of a constellation or maybe given us some ideas, but we didn't know about it. Our goal was to keep departments
Right,
affordable.
keep senior housing, not have us move. The only other thing, I know this is gonna take time, but since I have a 1 month, myself and other people living there, we have that deadline, November 1st, that's when we can no longer park in the streets overnight. That's the only if there can be, even if it's a temporary fix, if you don't, because I know there's gonna be research being done.
I'm gonna know by the end of the week
Oh, you will?
where we
Okay.
stand.
Okay, that's,
And if it means that there's nothing in the documents that helps support what I need, then we have to go to, what's the temporary fix, or something like that.
all right, that's.
You know, but we need to monitor that, because again, we have people that are bad characters that come into those parking lots, and they sit there for 3 days. And, you know, we have to do what we have to do. And we had a couple last year. I don't know why or how, or, you know.
Well, some of the seniors will do that. They may park for 3 days, especially if the weather, because whether their knees are hurting or the weather is there, you know, they're either under the weather or because of the weather, they'll park and won't move for a while.
So, you know,
They
listen,
don't have a job to go to.
yeah.
You know, so
No, I get it, I get
And
it.
most places have, you know, enough parking and then
Right,
visitor
so they can
parking.
do that.
Right.
And there, you know, there are planning boards, including ours today, that when they look at a project, they'll say, well, every unit has to have 1.5 or 2 spots per unit.
In this-
Well, clearly that didn't happen, and I don't know why. I really don't.
all
But we'll
right,
find
well,
out.
Yeah.
If the clerk has your information?
Yes, they have it, I contacted and sent it out today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, yep. Okay.
See you tomorrow.
So if there's nothing further business-wise? Oh, yes, okay.
Want to read this into the,
Yep, okay, so there's a public comment, should I read that in? Yep, okay. So there was one other public comment that was requested that it be entered into the public comment portion this evening, and I'll read through it, and, okay, public comment was presented or given to us by B.J. Mendelson, and I'll read the following. I would like to share the following information provided by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation regarding the potentially dangerous amounts of hydrogen sulfide being released in Airplane Park and at the Mill Pond. The DEC encourages New Yorkers to report unfamiliar or unpleasant odors to 1-800-457-7362. There's a 24-hour toll-free hotline. Callers are asked to provide as many details as possible, including the location, time of day, duration, frequency of the odor, description of the odor, and the wind direction at the time of smelling the odor. If anyone has a condition that is influenced by exposure to the unpleasant odors and has any health issues, they should consult their medical provider. I would also like to share the following statement and request to the village board members and Mayor Neil Dwyer. I know that Mayor Dwyer, Trustee Carl have attempted as far back as 2021, and in some cases even further back, to get the hydrogen sulfide situation in the village under control. Both men should be commended for their efforts, while other elected officials in the town, specifically Supervisor Cardone and the Village of Monroe's assigned liaison, Dory Houle, have routinely passed the buck on this issue. In speaking with the DEC in my capacity as a reporter, the DEC has stated they have been in touch with the Orange County Sewer District 1 about the reports of the hydrogen sulfide smell in the village. But I've also been told by Orange County Sewer District Number 1 and foiled emails presented by Orange County confirm this, that the source of the hydrogen sulfide smell is from the village of South Blooming Grove, untreated sewage. I've asked the DEC to explain why they are only speaking with Orange County and not the village officials of South Blooming Grove. Mr. Joel Stern, who is the de facto mayor of South Blooming Grove, has informed me in August of 2021 by Orange County legislators Peter Toohey and Catherine Benelli about the severity of the hydrogen sulfide situation in the village of Monroe and the village of South Blooming Grove's contribution to that issue. In May of 22, the village of South Blooming Grove undertook a pilot program with hardware provided by New Water Technologies to treat the raw sewage and eliminate, or at the very least reduce, the hydrogen sulfide smell encountered by residents of the village of Monroe. This morning, Michael Zwart, Senior Sanitary Engineer, Orange County DPW, said, I do know that they, Blooming Grove, are planning to upgrade the pump station. For this, you need to contact South Blooming Grove. I would hope that an oxygenation system would be included, emphasis added. For reasons known only to Mr. Joel Stern, who is responsible for all these decisions made in South Blooming Grove, the new hardware was never again utilized after the successful pilot in 2022. In that time, Mr. Stern has routinely approved and in other cases allowed for unapproved construction in the village of South Blooming Grove. His goal is to graft a city on top of infrastructure built and zoned for rural suburban development. Therefore, since August of 2021, Mr. Stern has known about his village's contribution to the hydrogen sulfide situation in the village of Monroe, and despite this knowledge, he proceeded to act in a dangerous manner that jeopardized the health and safety of the village of Monroe residents. As an additional example for context, the Town of Blooming Grove Supervisor Robert Geralaman and Building Inspector Gene Overson have routinely asked the Village of South Blooming Grove to provide permits for all of the construction that's happening within the village. To this day, no information has been provided by Mr. Stern to the town of Blooming Grove to convey what permits have been granted despite the grave environmental concerns raised by residents across all of southern Orange County. When asked why this is, at the September 24 Village of South Blooming Grove meeting, Mr. Stern accused the supervisor of trying to commit a felony to explain his lack of action in providing this information. As you might have guessed, there is no basis for this accusation and no evidence that such a thing occurred. For that reason, I am submitting this request that the Village of Monroe take legal action at the soonest possible opportunity against the Village of South Blooming Grove and against Mr. Stern directly for displaying a wanton disregard for the health and safety of the Village of Monroe residents who have been directly impacted by his actions and construction of his new city next door. This was a public comment that was asked to be entered into the record, and we've done so this evening. Okay, if there's no further comment, I need a motion to go into executive for the purposes of attorney-client and the personnel.
Berenger will make the motion.
Carl was second.
Call the question?
Berenger, aye.
Carl, aye.
O'Connor, aye.
Dwyer, aye, so carried. Thank you for attending this evening's meeting.